Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the player ratings Everton 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2 at Goodison Park on Saturday afternoon. I apologise that this video / live stream wasn't up on Saturday. I had a few things to do on Saturday night, and after the instant match reaction, I didn't have enough time basically to set up a player ratings video, do one, and then get done what needed to be done before the end of today. I had a little bit of a break yesterday just to sort of chill and relax and not really have to think about football, and we are back today. So I apologise about the lateness of this video. Usually these videos are up straight after the game along with the instant match reaction, but as I said, sometimes that isn't possible. That does mean that the game review to this game will be up tomorrow afternoon-ish, so look out for that one. We're going to sit down and have a much more in-depth look into this game and discuss it in greater detail tomorrow afternoon. But this is the Player Ratings, the show where we give every player that played in an Everton shirt a rating between 1 and 10. 1 obviously being absolutely horrendous and 10 being absolutely amazing. Just to sort of slightly summarise the game a little bit. Obviously, as I said, we haven't spoken about it since Saturday. And I felt a little bit disappointed on Saturday leaving Goodison Park. And that might seem a little bit strange to a lot of you, because you might be thinking, Cam, we'd just come away with a point against the top 4 side with 2 of our most important players out of the team, in Doucouré and Onana. And I understand that, and I agree with it, and I'm not by any sense of the imagination saying that this was a terrible result or this was a, disgraceful performance or Everton weren't, at the races, etc., etc. I thought we played well on Saturday. I thought we got at Spurs. I thought we created issues for them. I thought we limited them to very, very, very little. The 2 goals that they scored were really impressive finishes by Richarlison, but other than that, they didn't have much whatsoever. And we frustrated and limited a side that are doing really, really well at the moment, and on another day could have come away with all 3 points. And that, for me, was the most frustrating thing. Not because we weren't good enough, not because we, didn't deserve anything from the game, not because we were, we were awful. It was just because I felt like it was another opportunity missed. That is, I think, the biggest issue at the moment for Everton Football Club. It's not necessarily that we're performing badly, and it's not necessarily that we're turning up and getting rolled over week in, week out. Generally, we've been very, very consistent of late. Take away the Luton game in the FA Cup, which was absolutely horrendous. In the Premier League of late, 3 draws on the spin now. Jordan Pickford, 8 clean sheets, top of the clean sheet chart in the Premier League this season, which shows you that defensively we are doing very, very well. And we know we're doing very well because some of our standout players have been in that back line. Jared Branthwaite has been absolutely unbelievable this season. Vitaly Mykolenko has been fantastic this season. James Tarkowski has been fantastic this season. Defensively, we're doing really, really well. And it reminded me of something that Sean Dyche once said a long, long time ago. I think it was when he was Burnley's manager. He might have even reaffirmed it when he joined Everton Football Club, and he was asked what his sort of footballing philosophy is in comparison to, Pep Guardiola's philosophy and Jurgen Klopp's philosophy and all of these managers. And his words were, stop the ball going in our goal and put the ball in their goal, and that's pretty much it. And I think so far at Everton, he's doing a really, really good job at stopping the ball going in our goal, even though we conceded 2 on Saturday afternoon. Generally, defensively, we've been much, much better this season. The problem is putting the ball in the opposition's goal. And again, this for me just felt like another opportunity where we were playing a Spurs side that weren't necessarily at the races, probably weren't at their best. It was a strong Spurs side in terms of the players they had playing, but they weren't great. And they gifted Everton opportunities, and I think had we have had a little bit more quality in the final third and a little bit more intensity in the final third, I think we could have got more out of the game, and I think we probably deserved more out of the game, especially considering we were much the better team in that first 45 minutes, and their second goal completely come against the run of play. And then I just felt like in the second half, had we have come out with a little bit more intensity and a little bit more drive, not only could we have equalised a lot earlier than we ended up doing, but I firmly believe the game was there to go and win. And I felt like that a couple of times of late. I felt like that against Fulham midweek as well. And, I can sit here and appreciate when a point is a decent point and, you sort of take it and move on. But I think there's also an opportunity to be a little bit disappointed that we haven't got more. And the Fulham game, for example, when you miss a sitter in the 97th minute, to potentially come away with all 3 points and you only come away with one. For me, that's disappointing. This game, when you're so good in the first half and unfortunately going behind, but then don't really step on the gas in the second half, that for me is a little bit disappointing. But having said that, a point at home to a top four side with a couple of really, really important players missing from the squad is not the worst result in the world whatsoever. And I think at the moment patience is a real big word amongst Evertonians. And whilst it seems at the moment like everything is doom and gloom and on the floor, I think the manager is slowly but surely I don't want to say turning things around, because ultimately football is about winning games of football, and we're not doing that enough, and we're certainly not doing that enough at Goodison Park. But we are becoming much more difficult to beat, and that, I suppose, is step one of improvement, is become much more difficult to beat. My only issue is, are we going to be able to put teams away and have enough quality to put teams away in the moments we need to in order to stay in the Premier League this season? And that, for me, is why I'm frustrated with games like Saturday and games like the Fulham game, because I think they're opportunities to put teams away that we're not taking. But you know what? A point against a Spurs side who currently sit fourth in the Premier League or within that sort of top 4 or 5 is not the worst result in the world, is it? So let's get into the player ratings then. We will start with Jordan Pickford in goal. I'm going to give Jordan a 6.5 for Saturday. I thought he made a couple of really big saves. I thought he once again showed that when he had to step up in those moments, he did. And a lot of the times Jordan makes some really, really impressive saves now, and it's not really noticed much because it's almost become an expectancy from Jordan to make, important saves and to keep us in games and to deny the opposition in big moments. And, sometimes when he does it now, it's not really, it doesn't really get as much attention as maybe it would a couple of years ago, because he's doing it more consistently. I was a little bit disappointed with his kicking and his distribution on Saturday. I thought his distribution was wasteful, and don't get me wrong, there's a video going around on social media where he pings one from his own box all the way up to, I think it was Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Dom takes it down brilliantly, and all of a sudden we're on the counter-attack. But that was probably the only one that he hit accurately on Saturday. I thought generally his distribution was poor. And this isn't me having a go at Jordan. Anybody that watches this channel knows I absolutely love Jordan Pickford. I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in world football, and he is incredibly and quite surprisingly disrespected for how good he is. But his distribution could have been better. I haven't seen either of Spurs' goals back. I know there's a couple of non-Evertonians who are a little bit critical of his involvement in Richarlison's second goal, but yeah, for me, Richarlison's second goal was just an absolutely world-class finish from a fantastic footballer who unfortunately doesn't play for Everton anymore. But I'm not blaming Jordan too much for that, but I do think his distribution could have been a little bit better on Saturday. I thought it was poor considering what he can do. I thought he rushed a lot on Saturday. I thought there was a lot of moments where he had control of the ball and we were sort of moving out and trying to get our shape and trying to get forward, and he just rushed his kick. He just rushed his decision, and it didn't really make much sense to me. But yeah, generally, other than that, in terms of shot stopping, I thought he didn't have a lot to do because Spurs weren't very good whatsoever. But he did what he needed to do, and as I said, the 2 goals for me are the fault of the right hand side as opposed to the goalkeeper. So left back then, Vitaly Mykolenko. I'm gonna give Vitaly I'm gonna give him a 7. I thought he was very, very solid again. Probably our most consistent player this season, if we're being perfectly honest. I think he's definitely been one of the standout performers. I've said this before and I'll say it again. What we are now seeing from Vitaly Mykolenko is consistency. We're seeing a player who can step in, week out, and put in a similar performance near enough every week. His one-on-one defending has become so much better. His confidence is grown so much. His ability to track a man has improved so much. He's now in positions to throw last-ditch challenges in and make, big clearances in big moments and big tackles in big moments as well. And I thought Saturday was no different. He did that a couple of times. Wasn't hugely involved. Certainly not as involved as he has been in other games this season. But he still had his part to play. He defended well. He moved the ball forward well. Could we do with getting more from him in attacking areas? Yes, but I think that's maybe a bigger problem than what it seems. There seems to be a bit of an assumption at the moment that Vitaly Mykolenko and Nathan Patterson or Seamus Coleman or whoever it might be that plays right back are just horrendous players going forward. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that those players are absolutely fantastic going forward, but I think there's a managerial decision and a tactical decision there that is maybe stopping those fullbacks from getting forward and putting balls in the box and creating opportunities, as opposed to it being they're just not very good at it. So I don't want to put too much blame on him for that. I don't want to talk too much about that, but generally, yeah, I thought he was pretty solid again on Saturday. Jared Branthwaite then next to him. I'm going to give Jared a 9 out of 10. I don't think either of the goals are his fault. I think both goals come from the right-hand side. Now, yes, there's an argument that, Richarlison could have been tracked down quicker, for both goals, but I don't think that falls on Jared Branthwaite. I think that falls more on A, Ben Godfrey as the right back, B, Ashley Young as the midfielder who wasn't back helping, and then maybe one of the midfielders and or James Tarkowski. Look, Jared scored the important equaliser, didn't he? Which ultimately, earned us a huge point from the game, and a point that, may turn out to be absolutely massive come the end of the season. And thanks to an assist from, I think it was Christian Romero, who spent pretty much all of the game moaning and frustrating. So it was nice of him to get up and get the assist. It was also nice of Richarlison to completely allow Jared Branthwaite to run off him. I mean, Richie must have felt bad for scoring 2 goals, and he must have been stood there thinking, I can't see Everton lose a game at Goodison while I'm on the pitch. No chance. And he just completely allows Jared Branthwaite to run off him and head into an empty net. Yeah. I thought he was really solid. Again. Defensively, he's an absolute unit, isn't he? He's an absolute unit. Sometimes you just see players and you just think, yeah, you've got it. You've absolutely got it. And Jared, for me, is one of them. He's one of them players, I think, that we all know, and I don't think any of us are under any illusion that the likelihood of him being an Everton player in the next 2 years is very unlikely. Some would say even in the next 12 months is very unlikely, but I do think there's a world in which he stays for another season, potentially, depending on Everton's circumstances, i.e. whether or not we're a Premier League team, whether or not we've been taken over. But the thought of him still being at Everton in a couple of years' time is probably one that I think is slightly unlikely, but that's because of how talented he is. And sometimes I was a little bit like this with John Stones, and I've been like this with a couple of players over the years at Goodison, where you just look at them and you just sort of think, yeah, you are special. You've got the potential to go to the very top if you keep your head down, you keep yourself motivated, and you keep yourself, you keep the discipline there. You've got the potential to be a real top player, and Jared is that and more, isn't he? Defensively, again, so colossal, so important to us. And I actually think, and strangely enough, I'm not quite sure whether or not this is the case, because obviously Jared spent a little bit of time out on loan over the last couple of years or so, and obviously he was on loan last year at PSV, but I don't know whether this is just me who sees this or whether other people see this, but it seems like he's learned from Yerry Mina a little bit. And what I mean by that is the thing Yerry Mina was absolutely best at during his time at Everton was winding defenders up. Was winding attackers up, getting under the skin of centre forwards, giving them a bit of a knock here and there, maybe standing on their foot accidentally, maybe knocking into them accidentally, really roughing up, and bullying effectively a centre forward to the point where they can't play the game that they wanted to play. They're not comfortable doing what they're usually comfortable doing. And, that was Yeri's best asset for me. That was the thing Yeri was best at. He was a brilliant defender. He was great in the air. He was good on the floor. His passing range was good. But the thing for me he was best at was frustrating opposition players and frustrating opposition attackers to the point where we'd have some of the most informed centre forwards come to Goodison Park and they wouldn't get a sniff because Yeri would just have them absolutely ragged all day long. And it seems like Jared's got a little bit of that in him as well. Now, I don't know whether that's because of Yeri. It might be because of somebody he's worked with at PSV. It might just because that's the type of player that he is. But he just seems to have that little bit of snideness about him. That little bit of, I don't mind knocking into you or climbing over you or bouncing you here, left, right and centre. He's not scared to put himself about. He's not scared to get involved. He's not scared to put himself in the way of things and put himself in confrontational situations. And I think we're seeing that a lot more recently. And again, on Saturday, he was absolutely fantastic. He really, really was. He was absolutely fantastic. Not only his goal, which is a great bit of play, to read the situation and to get to the back post to make sure he can get ahead on anything that falls there, but just generally, his general play overall was absolutely magnificent, and as I said, this fella is how there was even a conversation about whether or not he should start for Everton, this season. I remember sitting here in the summer saying either sell him or start him, and there was a lot of people in the comments who were quite rightly saying, "Oh, I'm not quite sure he's ready. I'm not quite sure he's good to go," because we'd not seen him properly in the Premier League, and he'd been in the Dutch league, and okay, he'd done well there, but very different league. But you look back now, don't you, and think, wow, if we'd have known then what we know now, it wouldn't have even been a conversation. It wouldn't have even been a conversation. So, yeah, he was absolutely fantastic again. Absolutely fantastic again. The Blues says, I think Mina was a little bit more shithouse, to be honest. Jared is just a miles better athlete. Yeah, I'm not saying he's exactly carbon copy of Yerry Mina, but he seems to have that little bit of a streak in him. He seems to have that little bit of an, that bit of, I'll give you the pinch or I'll stand on your foot. I'm not bothered about roughing you up. I don't care, do you know what I mean? But he's clever about it. He's got it all, Jared. He really, really has, and I think he was excellent again. James Tarkowski next to him. Then, I'm gonna give James. I'm gonna give him a 6.5. The reason for that is because I'm still unsure on the 2 goals that we conceded. I think for a player to be left on his own on the edge of the box twice is poor defensively, in my opinion. 2 really, really poor defensive goals to give away. But I'm not sure whose responsibility it is, whether it falls on the central midfielders to get back and mark that space, the right back to completely not allow that situation to happen, the right midfielder to get back. All of this never happened, by the way. The right midfielder to get back and help out, or the centre-back to see the situation and come out and close the space down. And I think, as the captain, he probably should have taken a bit more responsibility for that. And I know people will say, oh yeah, but generally, and I thought for the rest of the game he was fantastic. Thought he was big in the air, thought he was dominant, he threw himself in front of a couple of challenges. As always, if there's any form of confrontation or situation, he's first there, he's throwing himself in, he's not afraid to get involved. He's boss. I love James Tarkowski, by the way. I absolutely love him. I love him to bits. I think he's one of the best players to have come to Everton Football Club in recent years. Not because of his talent, but just because of what he brings to Everton, the leadership, the desire, the commitment. I just think generally everything about James Tarkowski is perfect for Everton. He is the perfect Everton centre-half, especially when you've got a young, a young up-and-coming talent next to him. But I just think maybe the organisation could have been a little bit better, and being the on-field captain, that ultimately becomes his responsibility. But again, maybe that's just me being a little bit harsh. Generally, I thought his performance was really solid, and again, there's 8 clean sheets this season. You see that stat and you sort of look and you think, oh, Jordan Pickford, unbelievable. And Jordan, don't get me wrong, has been fantastic at times this season. Of course he has. But the 8 clean sheet stat is also a indication of how well Everton are defensively and how much better Everton are defensively than what we were 12 months or 18 months ago. It's not just Jordan Pickford keeping clean sheets, it's the 4 that sit in front of him. And as I said, those 3 who have been consistently in there, Branthwaite, Tarky and Mikalenko, have been outstanding this season and they deserve their credit. So, yeah, maybe a little bit harsh on Tarky, but I just think we were asleep. Especially for the first goal, I thought we were asleep. And for me, that's the captain's responsibility, but maybe I'm just being a little bit harsh. Ben Godfrey then. Ooh, again, another difficult one because from both goals come down that right-hand side, and both goals are far too easy, for them to happen. It's far too easy. There's no pressure on Richarlison. There's no pressure on the ball coming into the box. But I thought Jared was... I thought Ben was very good at right back, other than the 2 moments where in which we conceded. Do you know what? I'll give Tarky a 7.25, and I'm going to give Ben Godfrey a 6.5, because I think as I said, I think both goals he could do better for defensively, but I thought for the rest of the game, he was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. He was getting forward. He was flicking the ball over people's heads. He was getting in good positions. He was throwing himself into challenges. He was working hard. He was battling. His passing was okay. His movement was good. He had probably his best game in an Everton shirt in a long, long time, Ben Godfrey, if not ever. It just was unfortunate that, as I said, both goals have come from down that right-hand side. And he's not a natural right-back, so, ultimately that maybe is to be expected. But, I thought his overall play generally was much, much better than anything we've seen from him before. Anything we've seen from him before. But maybe that's just a little bit of rustiness because he's not played an awful lot lately. Maybe that's just a little bit of I don't know, mental fatigue because he's not used to playing in that position. I'm not quite sure what it was, but he looked up for it, Ben. He looked up for it. He looked like he wanted to play. He looked like he wanted to get involved. He wanted to get stuck in. He wanted to create moments and opportunities, and I think that deserves to be credited. It really, really does. Into the midfield then. I've just noticed we're still on the defence and we're nearly half an hour into this video, so I apologise. Into the midfield then. Dwight McNeil, left midfield. I'm gonna give him a 2. Worked hard, pulled himself about, battled, but generally just not enough from Dwight, and this is where I think Everton's problem is at the moment, is them 4 up front. McNeil, Harrison, Dom, and whoever sits in the 10 in the absence of Abdoulaye Doucouré just aren't doing enough. They're not doing enough, they're not giving enough, they're not creating enough. Defensively, they work hard and they'll put themselves about and they'll try, and I wouldn't ever criticise any of those 4 or 3, if you like, for not working hard or not battling or not fighting. Or just remember, he takes corners, doesn't he? And his corners were a threat. Give him a 4 for the corners. I'll give him a 4 for the corners, but generally not enough from Dwight. And I appreciate the hard work. I appreciate the desire. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the defensive work rate. I appreciate all of it. But at some point, there needs to be a conversation about quality and about ability and about being able to create moments and opportunities for Everton to win games of football. I could go on there and work hard. If you give me 2 weeks, I'd go on there and run around for 180 minutes with no problem whatsoever. But I probably wouldn't be able to cross a ball or curl one into the top corner or make a last-ditch pass that creates a goal. At the end of the day, it's about quality, especially when you're in a position Everton and you need players that are going to produce those moments and those moments of quality. And Dwight is capable of doing it because we've seen it last season. He almost single-handedly kept Everton up with some of his quality at times last season, but he's just not doing it at the moment, and that might be for numerous different reasons, and I'm not sitting here and having a go at him and calling him out, and I understand that we ain't really got any other option, so he's almost got to be in there, but the facts are the facts, and that is that, again, barring his corners and his work rate on Saturday, he wasn't very good. He wasn't very good. The Blues says you wouldn't run around well enough though, Cam. You'd get legged. Listen, mate, I could run round and throw it. Listen, I tell you now, I'm far too emotional to play for Everton Football Club. I'd get sent off every week. Every week I'd get sent off. I'm not going to tell you what I'd get sent off for because I'd probably get the channel banned, but put it this way, the referees wouldn't be very happy with me, I'll tell you that. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I just want a bit more from him, but again, I know we're in a difficult situation. I know he's in a difficult situation. I get it, but I just think there's a bit of a lack of quality there. Other side, Ashley Young. I'll give him a... What did they give? I'll give Dwight a 5 for the corners. I'll give Ashley Young... what can I give? I'm giving Ashley Young a 4.5, and I'm keeping with that because A, he didn't offer much going forward. Now, I get he added a little bit more balance and a bit more stability, and I'm not saying he was bad. He was okay. He worked hard, he ran around, he did his job. He was okay, no issue. Played a couple of crosses into the box, fine. Defensively, he was horrific. Absolutely horrific, and was at fault for me for both goals. Not directly at fault, not the only player at fault, but he didn't get back and defend. He didn't get back and help out. He sort of just stood there at the halfway line. Now again, that might be an instruction from the manager. That might be him being told to not go past the halfway line or not break through or not, get back and help because of his fitness and his stamina and his age, whatever. I'm not sure, but I just expected a little bit more from him in those moments. I'll be honest, I did. Into the centre of midfield then. Patrick says, I thought Ashley worked his socks off. I don't think he was lazy by any sense of the imagination. I think attacking-wise, he worked hard and put himself about. And as I said, I don't think he was terrible. I just think defensively he could have offered a little bit more and he could have worked a little bit harder. But as I said, that might have been an instruction from the manager. Into the midfield then, Garner Gay, for me, is getting a 9. He was Everton's best player on Saturday without a shadow of a doubt. He was Everton's best player without a shadow of a doubt. There was a lot of talk about Garner coming back into the team. Have we missed him while he's been at AFCON? A lot of people saying no. A lot of people saying yeah. Obviously, we're without Onana, we're without Tukore, etc., etc. He was the best player on that pitch in either shirt on Saturday for me by an absolute country mile. Maybe Richarlison, but Garner was outstanding and certainly the best player in an Everton shirt. And yes, okay, he's not great going forward and he doesn't offer a lot going forward, but you only have to watch him on Saturday to see what he offers to this football team and see what he offers to this football club. His break-up play, his interceptions, his movements off the ball, his work rate, his ability to cover space, his ability to nick the ball and bring it out. And I'm not saying he does this every week, by the way. I'm not saying he's perfect and he's never at fault because I've come on here before and criticised him. But Saturday, he was absolutely immense. Absolutely immense. And as I said, by far the best player in an Everton shirt on that pitch. Worked his bollocks off and technically was absolutely fantastic. So he's getting a 9. James Garner next to him. Going to give him a 7. Thought he worked hard. Put himself about. Ran round. Gets involved. Probably the closest to a street footballer Everton have got at the moment, pardon me. In terms of the fact that he plays like he's playing with his mates in the street, doesn't he? He's not afraid to get himself involved. He'll nick the ball back off players. He'll get him hard for the tackle. He'll move it round. He's a good passer of the ball. He's good with his feet. He's not. He hasn't. I like James Garner. I like him a lot. I really, really do like him a lot. And I think he works hard. And I think he puts himself about. And I think he's got a lot of technical ability. But I'm not quite sure he's got that spark, that ability to turn a non-situation into a goal, or find a pass from absolutely nowhere which creates a goal-scoring opportunity for Everton. I think James Garner would be absolutely unbelievable next to somebody or in the same midfield as somebody who's got the ability to do that. Let's say, as an example, a James Rodriguez. I'm not saying we should go back and get James Rodriguez. I'm just saying a player that has got that magic, if you like, that ability to just create something out of nothing. I think James Garner would look 10 times the player, next to somebody like that, because he can do the work rate and the desire and the battle, and then you've got the quality next to him. I'm not quite sure he's got that. That's not his fault, and I thought he worked hard and put himself about, but as the Blues says, he wasn't quite as effective as Garner, but he still ran round and worked his socks off. So yeah. We'll finish this off then, because I'm aware we've been on here for quite some time. Jack Harrison. I know he's been awarded with the goal, but haven't seen it again. I agree. The Blues, nobody is magic in our squad. That's what I'm saying. We need that. It wasn't. I'm not going to give him any extra marks for the goal, I'll be honest, because it's a deflection off Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's not like he's took 4 players on and buried it. Again, I was disappointed. I'm going to give him the same score as I give McNeil. I get it. They work hard. They put themselves about. They battle. I get it. We're in a difficult situation at the moment and things are limited. I understand it. I understand he's not the type of player I want him to be. I get it. I personally then just wouldn't be signing him on a permanent deal come the end of it, because I think there is other players out there with more quality that could come in and make a difference to Everton for the money that he is going to cost us. But I get he's an integral part of the manager's plans. The manager loves him. He works hard. His defensive work rate is there, etc., etc. I just think we need a bit more. The biggest issue on the field for me at the moment for Everton is the lack of quality in the final third. We know McNeil's got it. We know Harrison's got it. We know Dom's got it. But they just don't find it consistently enough. And we can't afford to have 3 players in our front 3, if you like. I know McNeil is sort of a midfielder, but in that sort of forward area, 2 wide midfielders or wingers and a striker, I don't think we can afford all of them to just be hard workers but not really have much quality there, or not really show much quality. And I thought it was another case of that from Jack again. But maybe I'm just being maybe I expect too much. I probably do expect too much, because we've got absolutely no money at the moment and we're in a relegation battle. But I just remember the days where, I grew up on Stephen Pienaar, even Kevin Morales, who wasn't hugely consistent, but sometimes could turn an absolute non-situation into a goal like that. And I just don't think any of our forwards or wingers or wide midfielders are capable of doing that anymore, and that disappoints me. That's not Jack Harrison's fault, and that's not me having a go at Jack Harrison. That's just me being a little bit disappointed that we haven't got wingers that are capable of doing that anymore. But there you go. And then Dom, I'll give Dom. I'll give him I give Addison and McNeil a 5, and I'll give Dom a 5.5. Thought he worked a little bit harder, put himself about, battled, ran round. Again, never really given many opportunities in front of goal, and as we know, he doesn't create much for himself either. But yeah, worked hard. Let's get into the subs then, real quickly. Beto, should have had a penalty, potentially. Definitely should have had a free kick outside the box for a shove. I'll give him a 6. Come on, ran round, put himself about, made the nuisance of himself. Seamus Coleman's getting a 10. A for being Seamus Coleman, and B for screaming at Romero's face, getting a 10. Chimiti, I'm actually going to give Chimiti a 6.5. I think he showed good promising signs. To be honest, yes, he should have scored that chance that fell to him, in the 6-yard box, and he was completely on his own. But I think he probably just rushed it out of panic and probably a little bit of lack of confidence and stuff. But I thought his movements and his positioning was quite impressive, I'll be honest. And then Lewis Dobbin, I'll give him a 6 as well, 6.5 as well. Come on, ran round, worked hard, pulling himself about and made a nuisance of himself. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for that as well. But there you go. There you go. We're going to leave it there. If you have enjoyed it, please do leave a like. We'll be back tomorrow with the game review, so look out for that one. Much more in-depth conversations about this game then, so please do tune in for that one. But until then, big thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you after.